Hi, Lala here. I thought I'd do a bit of a video to show how I go through my work process to do some of my photos. It's often different every time, but some of the tools that I'm going to use, I thought might be useful for me to show you some of the HUDs and things that I use as part of my photo taking and some of the techniques that I use. Today I'm going to be taking this photo in Firestorm. In another tutorial I might do one in Black Dragon for you because it's a different process and I'm in a different mindset when I'm doing those photos. But today I'm using Firestorm. It'll be useful also to see how I use the new EEP, which I honestly don't like quite as much as the old Winlight, but I'm trying to get used to it. So the first thing is I have found a location. Now this photo is specifically for a part of the backstory of Centauria, and so I wanted to find somewhere that looked a little bit deserted. And I prefer to take my photos in world and use all the benefits and background of all that's already in world. So I had a little look around the destination guide and found this place, which is Santana or Zamonia. And we're going to use this for the photo today. So this place looks great. It's looking all deserted. And although I like the environment, it's not quite what I want. So we'll change that in a minute. One of the first things that I'm going to show you is on the camera tools, the view angle. Okay, I can't stress this enough how important this is. This is a great wide angle shot. Okay, there's a lot of the picture in, but there's not a lot of my subject, which is Jalala here. So what I'm going to do is bring the view angle right in. That doesn't just zoom in, it brings the angle of the lens in, if you like, which reduces the sort of stretch in the picture. So we're going to bring that right in. The next thing I want to show you is this HUD down here. Okay, this is called KTC Camera Director HUD. There are other HUDs that you can use, but I like this one. It will actually save your camera angle. And why I'm going to use this will come into the tutorial later. But what I'm going to do is just press escape so that and you can see here that I have set up a scene, and it should be pretty much as I want it there. I might want to zoom in. If I want to change it, let's just come in a little bit here. Okay, so that's probably more what I want. So I would press the save here. It's flashing, and I'm going to save this one to 3. Now you'll see if I press escape, that goes back to what I had before. So you got up to 10 save positions here. Okay, so that's a really useful little HUD. The main reason I use this HUD is when I'm going to be taking more than one shot. Okay, so if I want to change my avatar's position, I can have the camera in the same place, and it will save your camera positions even if you log off. So really handy tool. A couple of other HUDs that I've gone on here which you might recognize. This is Animare, which is really old HUD, but they do update it. I did notice that it doubled in price recently, so just an interesting thing to note. What Animare does is it allows you to change some of the joints, so you can change. You can see her arm moving there, which can be really useful. when we go onto the tutorial using Black Dragon, you'll see that Black Dragon itself has its own kind of version of this, which is much more accurate. This is kind of rather crude compared to the Black Dragon built-in one, but this will do for what we want. The other thing to note when you're using Animare is that the centaur part of the body, the animations in the animation overrider are priority 5 or 6, and so it's unlikely that you'll be able to change the joints of the lower body. Certainly with this HUD, they're not, I would imagine they're priority 4, so they're not going to override what's happening down here, but that's okay. I only want it for the upper body today. And for the face, I'm going to use this over here. And you'll find when I'm taking photos, I can really end up with my whole screen being covered by HUDs. And you wonder how you ever take the photo at all. You can hide them in between, of course. So let's just have a look here. Now, I don't think the torso will move. No, it won't, but the chest will. I'm just going to bring her chest around a bit so you can see I'm moving her face, and I just want to release that arm again. Oops. There we go. So I've moved the chest round towards the camera a little bit so that I can see her face. Now this particular picture is she's just arrived home and found the land where she used to live very barren and deserted, so she's going to look a bit sad. Now I'm wearing a Lulutka head, so I've got various animations in here that I can use. I want to have a look at the sort of saddy ones. There we go. They may not be exactly as I want them. Her mouth looks sort of slightly weird, but I'm going to leave it as that for a moment, because what I can do is actually use this HUD over here to change pretty accurately all the bones in the face. So what I'm going to do over here, let's turn the head on for a start, and I want her to look a little bit, let's see, you can see as I'm moving around here, and maybe the neck a little bit. I want that to keep still, so oh, there we go, that's fine. I quite like the expression on her face, but her mouth's doing weird stuff, and also this arm keeps disappearing. So we could do with this arm being still. So let's have a go at using the Animare HUD to just keep that arm still. That's not what I want. And this one as well. Maybe, nope, not that. You see, this HUD can be a little bit kind of, you know, it's either there or over there. But it does for what I want. Now she's going to look a little bit sort of surprised, I guess. Sad and surprised. Okay, that's looking better. And now I'm just going to do something with the face here. So we moved her head and neck. I'd quite like to fiddle around with this mouth a little bit. So I'm just going to bring the jaw down a little bit. You can see that each bone that I activate stays still in the place that I've asked it to, but every other bone will carry on. I don't really like what her lips are doing here, so I'm just going to it's made it look a bit happy, isn't it? Don't want that. Okay. We can move this down a little bit. Okay. And the brow, I quite liked the sort of slightly concerned, worried look. And we can just see what will happen if we move these eyelids around as well. Okay, so now we're getting more of the look that I wanted, which was kind of, you know, oh dear, what have I arrived home to? You can see this arm over here is still moving because I haven't captured it with the Animare HUD. And her bottom lips are still moving. Let's just secure her bottom lips. There we go. You can even see that her under lids, because we haven't captured those, they're still moving, but that's okay. That's fine. Okay, let's have a look at the environment. So I actually downloaded from Marketplace all the old wind lights from Firestorm. They were free, and there's one in here that I think will look pretty cool. It's quite a sort of deserted look. Could be perhaps a little less kind of misty. So let's just bring that down and maybe change. There we go. And we can hide this HUD now. Okay, that's a little bit blue. There we go. I'm also wearing a face light, and it's just a simple prim. There we go. I've called lighting. Now when you select things, you'll lose your camera position from the direct HUD, but we don't worry because it'll go back. What I wanted to show you here is that I can use this light to light her face and body as I want. It's quite nice to have some contrast by creating the shadow. Let's just hit escape. Yeah, that's nice. There's a bit of a neck seam showing here, but I'm not worried about that because I can deal with that in post-production. So let's hide that one. Don't close it, otherwise you'll lose your environment, but I can close that one. Okay. Now in a moment when we've done this photo, I'm going to change my avatar and put maybe one or two characters down over here in the background, and I want to keep the same lighting and I want to keep the same camera angle so that I can then blend the photos together afterwards. I'm just going to go into the photo tools and make sure I've got the best settings that I can here. Now my computer 3 years ago was pretty super duper, you know, times change quickly in the world of technology, and I'm using a 1060 NVIDIA card, which is now, you know, positively ancient, and I'm using Windows 10, which was an upgrade from Windows 7 and is not particularly stable. So I'm telling you this because, you know, I don't have the fastest, best computer here, and things could get laggy. Just take it slowly. Don't try and move or do much, and just take it slowly. As you start to increase things like shadow resolution, the lag will really increase, and you just have to take things slow. You can see here a tumbleweed going across. I don't tend to use depth of field in Firestorm because I don't think it's particularly great. There goes my view angle. I do use it in Black Dragon. I just can't get it to work well in Firestorm. What we will do is put our anti-aliasing up to 16. That looks good. I think that's all okay. Okay, I'm quite happy with this photo now. So, let's bring up our snapshot. Really important, so we're going to be saving this to disk, and you can actually change the proportions of your photo. Now, there are various bits in here. It might be any one of these as standard, or it might be your current window size. I tend to take photos up to about 4K in Firestorm. You can go higher, you can go 5, 6K, but again, just be aware that the higher you go, the more resources you're going to be using, okay, and you could cause a crash. So this is looking okay. I'm not quite sure what this thing is behind her bum over here, and that HUD is in the way for me to see. So is my lighting. So we're going to have to move the camera. Let's just see if I can select, yeah, whatever that is. Not the grass, I want to keep the grass, but I don't want that. So the reason I'm taking this out is because it's sitting right there. It's quite notable that eye draws to it. It's not quite right for the picture. So we're going to de-render that temporarily and remove it from the picture. And now it's not there. It's nice. I like that. Let's save that. So there were also some cactuses in this picture which I removed earlier. When you TP out and back in, everything that you temporarily de-render will come back in your picture, or if you crash, of course, and come back in also. So I'm going to take a few different ones here. Just noticed over here there's something that we don't really need either. You can see it's disappeared now. I quite like when the hand's over there, so I'm just going to save just a few different ones. Let's get rid of some of these, just hide them. There we go. Good. Okay, that's good. Right, now I'm going to change up my avatar and go and sit somewhere else in the picture. To make things easier, I'm going to put my graphics settings down again so that I'm not doing all that changing about and moving on my higher settings. I'm also going to bring my view angle out so I can see what I'm doing and release the camera. Okay, so I'm just going to choose an outfit and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've got a different look here because this is supposed to be somebody else, not Julala. And there's that tree. Look how far away that tree is when I've got my view angle. We were actually miles away from it, and yet in the picture that we took, it looked like it was right there in front of us. What that does mean, though, is that we might need to just experiment a little bit as to where we are. Okay, so that's the edge of the sim, is it? No, I can get there. There we go. So I'm going to put her here. Get her up out of the ground a little bit. There we go. Wondering whether to sit her down actually. Now you can see that when I changed outfit, the director HUD disappeared. And you might think, oh no, all my settings, but it's there still. So let's just find it. So I tend to look in my outfits because it's easier to search than my inventory. There we go. So if we go to 3, of course it looks miles away because we also need to bring the camera view angle in. There we go. And again, we'll have to up the graphics so we can see. Look how far away she is. Wow. Maybe stood up then. Okay. So we're going to go with that. Now I think, which I should have checked and I didn't, which is always going to be slightly worrying, is that we were slightly further out on the view angle. Well, we know that we didn't have that on the right, so it was further in than that. There we go. Maybe that. Now, she's looking a little bit upright. She's also meant to be looking sad over there, so let's just find the Animare HUD. Certainly not going to see her face over there, so don't need to worry about that.
No, it should still work.
Let's just bring this HUD down.
The thing to do is that the password needs to be changed. And that's something that we really need to do right away.
I'm just going to move the chest forward. So you can see I've kind of made her look rather sort of sad over here just by moving her chest, so that she's looking down. There we go. That one's saved. Just going to make a note 3.310 now of the view angle. And now I'm going to change up my avatar again, so I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so this time I'm a fawn over here, and I actually found a pose made by a poppycock over here that works quite well, so we're just going to use that. Again, can't see her face, so there's no need to do much there. I've put the settings back the same, so this should all look the same, and take the photo. There we go. A slightly different light. I think I forgot to put the lighting up again, but it doesn't matter because we only want this tiny bit here from that picture. Okay. So now we have all the pictures that we want. We're going to go into post-production and fiddle about with them and make them look super beautiful. Okay, so I'm using PicMonkey here, which I often use for quick edits really. I don't do much post-production to these photos because most of the work's done in World. I also use GIMP sometimes for work, and I do also have Photoshop, but honestly this one I use the most. How much longer I will continue to use it is, I don't know, because they've been upping their price every year, been upping the features too, but then not features that I particularly want, so maybe I'll find something different soon. But anyway, for this purpose today, this is what we're using. And I've uploaded the original photo with Julala in it there. I've also uploaded these other two to blend in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just actually going to add this one and line it up, and I'm going to just remove pretty much all of it actually. Okay. Now with other graphics programs you could probably do this a lot easier with masking, but this one does it like this probably the best, and then we know that she's down here somewhere. There we go. And we can just fiddle about. You can see they weren't quite exactly correct. There we go. Maybe just blend a little bit there. So now we have that one in there. We're going to add the third one. Line them up. Again, remove pretty much all of it. I say there's better ways of doing this with other bits of software, but I'm using this bit of software, so this is how I'm going to do it today. Let's just take her out completely, make sure we've taken all the bits and pieces out, and then paint her back in. Now we can see that there's a little bit of an issue here where it's not quite lining up. So let's zoom in, make this a little smaller, a little bit softer, and blend those edges a bit. Ideally they would be exactly the same, but if you remember I didn't quite make a note of the view angle. Let's bring that down. There we go. Okay. Okay, there's a bit there that's not looking quite right. Looks like a cloud of sand, which would probably be okay, but I don't want it there. Let's just take that out. There we go. Okay, so now we've blended those three photos, I can actually we can leave them as layers, and if I was in Photoshop or GIMP I would, but seeing as we're here it's actually easier for me to flatten those into one picture. And then I'm going to crop the canvas a little bit. There's a lot of empty space over there that we don't need. There we go. We can add a little bit of an effect here. we want to. I only ever use these if they really, you know, contribute positively to the photo. If they're not improving it, don't do it. You know, pictures can look way over processed. I often use this one, but it's really faded back down, so it's really just giving it a bit of vignetting. And sometimes I'll add an over texture, which might work for this one or might not. Seeing as it's meant to be kind of a bit miserable and barren, I may not want these sorts of colours. Don't know. I do like these a lot. So what I'm doing is I'm putting that overlay on there and I'm fading it right down, and I'm also going to remove some of the edges of these bokeh shapes. Don't need it quite so purple there either, so we're just removing that. There's a greeny one there, let's take the edges off, especially as it's over our character subjects in the background there. We don't want to have them disappear altogether. Just gives it a little bit of dimension to have those extra colours, even though they're very, very subtle. Okay. We might have a look at contrast, see if we need to up that or down it. No, I think it's fine as it was. Look at the shadows, lighting. You can see here we can bring up the sort of lighting of this part here, which is quite dark. It's quite nice. Okay, and we can sharpen it a little bit, just a little bit. Don't go overboard with this stuff. Honestly, you can ruin a photo by over processing. Lovely. Now what we do need to do, actually before I sharpen it, I like to do these bits before I sharpen it, is just sort out that neckline. Oh, well, that didn't work very well, did it? Let's see what we can do here. What we can do if that's not working is actually use the clone tool and just have it on a very low strength. Let's zoom right in on that neck join and going to just really gently fade it away. Oops. There we go. Okay, there's a little bit of funny lighting going on under there that's bothering me. So just going to get that out a little bit. Nice. And there we go.